Welcome back, everybody. This is the thejonnymar, and I am continuing with Stardew Valley. So we are very quickly approaching the end of fall. I know I've said that quite a few times in previous episodes, but we have actually reached the end of fall, and we will actually find it in this particular episode. Spirits are happy, which is not surprising since it is Spirits Eve. We actually have one of our final festivals we'll be going to in this particular month, and one of the last few in the game for this year that I'll be going through in this particular playthrough. But you may remember in my last episode we actually fixed up the ship to go to Ginger Island, so we'll be doing that once we head over into winter. And then we have a few other things to do as well. So now that we are at the end of fall, we are basically done with our crops out here. There are a few new crops that were added in later updates that allow you to grow them during winter, but many of them are not able to be grown outside during winter. We certainly can still continue to use our greenhouse. And then we're also going to pick up those flowers because they're going to die as well. And we're going to pick up all of these supplies too, like our scarecrows and our little sprinklers as well, because we don't need them anymore out here. Like I said, I will be growing a few crops, particularly the powder melons, I believe they're called, which are ones you can actually grow in the winter. But it'll be a small plot, so it won't require too much, and the rest of the stuff will be going to Ginger Island. So let's do some stuff around the farm. Alright, so we can't actually head into the town because of the festival. And since it's so late at night, it's going to close that area off to us for quite a while. Now, fortunately, we have a few of these transport totems, because we do want to come down to the beach, because we want to finish up with the raccoon quest. And fortunately, we got a couple of the mussels we needed, and now we have the 5 that we need to finish up that quest. So that's good. So we have our smoked bullhead, our 5 mussels, and now we're going to head over to the raccoon. We're going to give him those particular supplies, and that'll finish up the first part of this quest. I do not believe we'll have enough time to finish the whole quest line before the end of the year. It does require quite a few weeks to do it, and also just a couple of different need fruit. Huh, that was weird. That looked a little glitchy. But we do get some powder melon seeds. But I think we're going to run out of time before we could actually do it. And we don't have the supplies in order to do many of the later stages. Alright, Spirits Eve has begun in the town square, so let's head on in and see the festival. So of course this is Stardew Valley's answer to Halloween. Or All Hallows Eve. And they actually changed it up, I've heard, in later updates. So I haven't really played a ton since they released update 1.6, but I believe they actually changed the maze around that you can do in here. So on alternating years, odd and even, there's actually a different maze and a different prize you can win. So in the original versions, you just had the same maze, and then you had the same item, I believe, at the middle, which was the golden pumpkin. And then we have some skeletons here. We've killed quite a few of those in our treks through the mines. They are kind of creepy. And I think I also read that Krobus is actually back there at times too. Now, who is Krobus? Well, we'll find out maybe someday if we ever finish off the community center and gain access to the sewers. But we will definitely be doing the maze. Yeah, people do enjoy pumpkins. Are they a vegetable? Are they a fruit? In this game, they're not quite sure. But I'm with Pam. You go to events to get that free food. And then we will head into the haunted maze because we want that golden pumpkin. Poor Vincent. I've heard he does actually get to go into the maze in later years. So apparently gaining 1 extra year is enough for his mom. And there's a few particular things in the maze that are, I guess, references to some old folklore from some different countries in the world. believe one of them might be Scandinavian or Slavic or something like that. But let's head into the maze. It's pretty easy to navigate simply because we have such a wide range of view here. But yes, we found you, Harvey. You weren't really hiding that well. And then there's Maru. You need to follow the rule of always going right or left. So pick a direction. We have some creepy hands here on the ground. I believe it was the wizard that set this all up. And then we have the house on chicken legs, which again is a reference to some sort of folklore. Maybe you shouldn't be breathing that in if it's making you feel dizzy. And then if you look on that TV, there's some little pictures that are kind of zipping in every once in a while with a frame of a creepy face. Yeah, I see it. Are you talking about those eyes or that treasure chest, which is very tempting? And then poor Abigail, she cannot continue on because of the large inflatable spiders. They are indeed very creepy. But we have no fear of spiders. We are a courageous young man supporting Joja. It's just a dead end, Sam, huh? So this is very strange. Obviously, this is set up to show you that there's a hole here, right? The line on the ground, the little question mark. Now, you would expect if you were actually in this world that the hole would be very visible. It would just be there, but perhaps not. Maybe you have to kind of work your way through the hedge there. You'll notice the wizard and Linus up there. You can't actually access their text. I guess it is in the game, and there are files in the game that allow you to see what they say. As we pick up our golden pumpkin here. And I think it comes down to like the wizard saying, you know, oh, I set this up. And Linus is like, yeah, that's great. You did a good job. But the golden pumpkin is to be sold. And I think later on in a different update, they made it so it's a loved item. So when you leave the festival, you will come back home at about 12. So you don't have much time to do any shenanigans around the farm. So make sure you do all of your chores before you go to the festival. And we get level 10 in foraging. We don't really tap that much. So we're going to go with lumberjack. Because we do a lot of tree demolition. But today was pretty productive because we had our cranberry harvest in the greenhouse. So that got us quite a bit of money. So we continue to amass fortunes here. That's a good little seed of plants that we can use to start on Ginger Island once we gain access to it. So on Ginger Island you can actually grow any sort of plants, I believe, from any season. And once you gain access to the farm on there, you can grow basically whatever you want all year long. And I don't believe there's crows, so you don't need scarecrows. The spirits are in good humor. Wonderful on this final day of fall. Artichoke dip. I certainly wouldn't guzzle it like a milkshake. I'm not sure I would even eat it normally on like chips or something like that. But yay, another recipe. I actually just picked up the official Stardew Valley cookbook from Amazon, along with a kind of knockoff Lego set of the farmhouse. And I also ordered the board game. So we are getting all sorts of Stardew Valley merch in our house. And we are going to be getting a horse very soon. And on Patreon right now, I have a poll open where you can help name the horse by voting on a name. And I'll have that open until tomorrow, Monday. So if you're watching this episode after it goes live on the Sunday that it does so, in late September, you can head on over to Patreon if you want, join up, and then you can vote in that poll, and maybe the choice you choose will be the name of the horse going forward. I'll be doing that in my next episode. But we have no need for anything else here. All of these crops that didn't come all the way in, they're going to die because the season's going to change over. And so then we want to pick up all of our extra stuff here, the sprinklers. Should we continue with the playthrough, I probably wouldn't be growing stuff anyway. I would just do it on Ginger Island. And then I would probably switch this over to like animals during year 2. And maybe I'll come back to it someday just to show off some more stuff, but probably not. That has been your moment of mindfulness for this episode. Alright, anything of note? We are still looking for a void egg, or even void mayo. That is really the only thing left that we need. And it doesn't look like we're going to find it. I mean, if we want to splurge on that Haley portrait, maybe someday. Alright, and we're getting a little cutscene here with Emily. So this is one of her heart events, I believe her 4-heart event maybe. So she's gonna head on out. See some birds flying. And wave to them. Kind of looked like her hand was backwards, like the thumb was pointing outward. That looked a little weird. But watch out, because one of them is coming right for you. Right into the window. I've had that happen a few times at homes I've lived in. All of a sudden you hear a loud crack and a bird has flown into a window. Usually we have shades up, so that's not typically a problem. But sometimes birds are just kind of not the smartest with that. And Emily decides to take this bird in and bring it back to its normal health and bandage it up. And then out of respect, it's gonna say she decides not to name it. I guess that's respectful? I don't know. We'll call it Bruce. Why not? Alright, and then we found another book. So we got some gibberish language here. You might be able to find a secret message if you take the first letter of each word in each little sentence, and that will give you a sense of some secret items you can find around town by putting particular items in particular slots around town to find those special items. We'll see if we actually decide to do that at some point. Probably not, though, simply because it requires some pretty unique items. Alright, and that is it for another day. That is it for fall. We are now going to head into the final season of the game, which is winter. So only 28 more days of this playthrough. A couple more festivals to go through. Don't have to worry about crops anymore, at least not outside. And then of course we have a brand new area to explore once we gain access to it, and that is Ginger Island. And then again, in a later update, they added brand new outfits for all the different characters in the game for winter. So Haley apparently is very cold, because inside here she has on her full outdoor outfit. But yes, everything goes quiet. So obviously if you don't have the greenhouse, you can't really do much in terms of crops. Certainly you can still do farm stuff around animals. And then with the greenhouse, you can continue to use that as well. But you can't really grow anything outside except these special crops that allow you to do that, like the powder melons, I believe. So we'll be growing some of those just for the heck of it. And then we'll be spending most of our time on Ginger Island, maybe doing some fishing as well. And then just heading to the various festivals that are left in this last month. Alright, and here's one of the extra things you can do in winter now. We have this strange little character. I do not believe it is Krobus, but is of the same race, so to speak. Species, I don't know, whatever you want to say, as Krobus, which again is someone we have not met yet. But he opens up a little side quest here. You'll notice in winter that there are a lot more wiggly worms all over the place on the ground. Most of the time they're just going to have forage. But some of the time they will have extra stuff after you encounter this shadowy figure. So you notice there are footsteps here on the ground. So if we follow them up to the north here, past the fountain, apparently he ran across it. And then just touch on this little bush here. He'll jump out. And this always reminded me of that rat in Chrono Trigger that you catch in the future, who goes, eek, and then tells you the secret about progressing through the dome. But we get the magnifying glass. So now we can sometimes find secret notes, which again are a bunch of extra little side quests that you can undertake from now on. So if we find any, we'll try to do those things. But if not, it's not a big deal. Again, it's just a little extra content. Alright, so we have something new on the board here. I don't know if I want to go for perch specifically. So I think we'll just do the general one here. Cleaning out the lake. That should be something we can do in one day. So I'm going to try to do that in this particular episode. I'm not going to show it, but I'll come back and show it after I'm done. Alright, so we cleaned out the lake. We got our 20 fish here. Caught a bunch of stuff. Bullheads, some chubs, some bass as well, and some perch. So we finished off that bulletin board request. So we'll take our money, and that will be the end of this particular episode as well. So in my next episode, we will get a horse, and we will also head over to Ginger Island for the first time. So as always, viewers, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and now we are in the final season of the game. And we have level 4 fishing after our day of catching so much stuff. See you in the next episode. So long. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please press like and leave a comment below. Please also subscribe to my channel and press the notification bell. See you next time.